G'day, guys. Welcome back to the Supercoach Swordplay podcast. It is season 5, episode 10. You can't see the banner tonight because we do want to see all of our lovely faces. For the first time in a little while, all 4 of the Swordplay brothers are on. Legends, very, very happy to be with you again. You can see Rossco and I rocking the Swordplay polos. Down the bottom, 2 hoodies. So remember to check out the website. We've had a couple of orders lately, so very, very exciting about that. But before we get into the introductions, on the agenda tonight, we'll have our round reviews. I'll do my usual rant. Spillsy's got his tweet of the week. We'll then go through the injuries and some hot topics. Buy planning, boys. Round 12 is not far away, so we do need to start to take into consideration the buys when we are planning and trading in and trading out players from our sides. The rookie data dump. I think the cupboard's pretty bare, but we'll do our best to get some names out there for you. We're going to do the buy, sell, hold, and then go through our trades. And we've had a bit of a brainstorm. Now, given the fact that we've had so many questions lately and the podcast seems to go on for 2.5 to 3 hours when it gets to the time, we are now splitting it up. So we are now going to have our podcast with all the things you see here on the agenda, and we'll still do the mailbag tonight. However, it will be a separate video for anyone that wants to tune into that. That means that the potty can be a little bit shorter for those that want to stick to that. And those people that are really keen for the mailbag, you can tune in for the second video. It should be up around lunchtime, afternoon tomorrow. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the quick introductions. Roscoe, how are you, my brother? You're rocking not only the polo shirt, but the beanie in the full kit tonight, mate. Looking absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, look, we're heading into winter. It's getting cold. So what better way to keep warm than some swordplay merch? The beanie's keeping my head warm. Jumper's keeping the rest of me warm. And, keen to jump on and have a chat and go through some Supercoach.
Awesome, mate. We did obviously miss you last week. And we also missed the professor who's just down below you there. How are you going, mate? I know life's very busy with all the work that you're putting in, but life-wise, Supercoach-wise, how is everything going, brother? Great to have you back on.
Yeah, life is good. Life is good. This is what's got my head focused at the moment. The human body, that's what it is. So here we are. I got the very intellectual cube at the moment. But no, all going well. The bag has got to win on the weekend. I've been a bit generous to Ross. Supercoach isn't really treating him kindly, so I took it a bit easy on him with the Blues Saints game. So I won't give him too much. But yeah, very happy with how the Blues are traveling, and yeah, looking forward to another week. And very, very happy to be back on this week. I tell you what, we came up with a bit of a brainstorm earlier about some ice cream. We might be going through some ice cream flavored Supercoach plays a bit later on, so stay tuned for that.
Looking forward to that one, mate. 2 players each, and we've got all the flavors up there on the screen ready to go after the 2 and 3 scoop discussion that we had last week. And Spillsy, it was just you and I last week, mate. It was like retro 2021 swordplay style. Very enjoyable, although we did miss the other 2, of course. How are you going, my brother? How's life treating you, and how's your week been?
I'm good, DR. I do like the St Kilda Carlton rivalry that Janath and Rossco have. I'm just trying to decide whether it's right up there with Ollie Gill and Little Dan. So yeah, you boys just tear shreds off each other and get on with it. But boys, I'm very good. Obviously, I had a bye on the weekend, so yeah, had a little bit of time to sort of unwind and kick my feet up. But yeah, went for a bit of a run tonight and broke me PB. So super stoked with that.
Nice.
So I usually do like 7K time trials because obviously I can't train for football on Tuesday nights because of the potty. So every Tuesday we'll do a 7K time trial and got it by, I think it was 1:15 faster than last week, which was also a PB. So pretty stoked with that. I don't know where I pulled that one from, but yeah, really keen to get into it. That's the only highlight that's going for me at the moment in terms of fitness wise. And because as a Supercoach, it's just, we'll get into it shortly, but hasn't really been treating me too well, boys. I think we're playing well, but yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. That's for sure.
Looking forward to it, mate. Looking forward to it. Hey, we all have bad weeks, but there is still a long way to go in the season anyway. So, boys, let's get straight into this. As always, I want to give a shout out to anyone that's purchased any of our polos, our hoodies, or our beanies. We're now up to $310 raised for the Royal Children's Hospital Good Friday appeal, which is obviously a very close cause to our hearts. And a big shout out to Speedy Tees for helping us to obviously design and make that merch. And this is, I tell you what, very exciting, because for those people that are struggling a little bit with their Supercoach sides, maybe things aren't going too well, this is fantastic for you. Game day squad with weekly prizes, overall prizes, cards to open. Janath, tell us about this wonderful game and potentially what we've got coming up, my friend.
Yes, so Game Day Squad Fantasy Sports, as we've been sort of spruiking all year, really, it's like a trading card game where you can just set a squad for the week, see how you go. You don't have to pay any money, sort of to participate or anything like that. I think it's a really great sort of just let's say not a side hustle, but something just have on the side of Supercoach. If your Supercoach team's not going well, you can do well in Game Day Squad. I'll tell you what, this week Supercoach wise wasn't the best, but I finished 18th in Game Day Squad. In the starter squad, so very happy with that. And as you mentioned, we've got a giveaway this week, so we're going to merge our two worlds here of Supercoach and Game Day Squad. So if you haven't created an account yet on Game Day Squad, go there now, because you could win this giveaway. So when you have your Game Day Squad, what I want you guys to do is in the comments down below, write who you think will be the highest Supercoach scorer this round. You don't need to predict any scores or anything like that. If you can guess the player that's going to score the highest this round, you'll win a platinum card on Game Day Squad off that player. So that's a 1.3 times bonus, Rossco. So if you can say a Harry Sheasel, for instance, if they score 160 this week in Supercoach, highest score for the round, they get a 1.3 times Harry Sheasel. How valuable is that card, mate?
Pretty valuable, to the point where I'd probably want to keep it for myself. It'd hurt to give one away. Are we allowed to make guesses on that as well, mate? Or it's only for non-podcast members?
Well, I'll say non-podcast. We can definitely try our best at nutting out who's going to be the highest Supercoach scorer this round. I guess, yeah, we can do it later on in the episode, but go down in the comments now and put down who you think is going to be the highest scorer this round in Supercoach. And if you can, just leave your Game Day Squad tag in that same comment, so it'll be easy for us to convey the card if you are successful at the end of this round. So good luck there.
Tell you, platinum. Tell you, I want to be in for this prize as well. But only non-podcasters, that's all right. But brilliant prize and brilliant blokes at Game Day Squad as well. Now, boys, cash cow. It has gone off a couple of times, but there will be a secret phrase coming up. And if you can work out what that is, $50 in your pocket. So giveaways galore in the podcast night. And a massive shout out to our friends at the Supercoach Hub. Please make sure that you do visit the Discord there for some great banter, discussion, and information. Big shout out to Supercoach Jedi. Into the round reviews we go. And I tell you what, there's two particular teams that just could not be split this week.
I can't believe that. It's like the North Brisbane draw where they drew in every asset of the game, not just like on the scoreboard, but inside 50s and everything. This is what we're looking at here. The unlikelihood of getting like 2, 4, 3, 8 a piece. Yeah. Unreal. That's crazy.
Well, the best part about it, DI, is that our teams are nowhere. They're nowhere near alike, really.
That's the thing. Yours is so much better than mine, and somehow I've managed to come up with the draw here. But I'll quickly go through mine. I've already put out my round review, but very, very quickly, it was a bit of a week that could have been for me, and it was just based off a couple of really small decisions. So 24-38, as you can see, at the end of the day, is okay. Very much parish for my ranking. See, went up 156 spots, so almost right on par for where I'm at. Traded in this week, Chad Warner, along with the box. I wish I had have waited, but you had to go someone. He was playing his second game. He wasn't the sub. Erasmus was going to be the plan, but he was the sub. So decided to trade that way and try to make a little bit of coin going into this week. I'll talk about my trades for this week a little bit later. But the big decision, boys, was who to put the VC and the captain on. So there were 4 players in the mix, 2 for the VC, 2 for the captain. Had Andy Brayshaw and Nick Dacos in line for the vice captain. Who did I go? Have one guess. Nicky D. And then had 2 players in line for the captain, Shocky Old Gold Neil and Tristan Sherry. And who did I go, boys? Shocky Neil. So there is literally 100 points left on the table with that one decision, and you're looking at a 2,500 plus, and no bloody draw with Janath here would have smashed the top of the pod, but that is life. Can't complain too much. Bit of cash in the bank for a trade this week, but small decisions just mean so much. And if I had of Captain Sherry, I'd be currently inside the top 2K, which is a little bit frustrating, but it is what it is. All good at the end of the day. Janath, I drew with you this week, mate, so I might go to you next. Tell us about your round, mate, and some of the moves that you made. Mr. Dawson didn't go as well as what he did the week before, but tell us how the team's looking, brother.
Yeah, cheeky drive-by there, mate. Look, I wasn't there to spruik Jordan Dawson's pick last week, but yeah, Warren and Boxall again for me. You know, if the weirdest part about all this is the Essendon game happened before the Saints game, I'm probably going side.
100%.
And it's just the matter of Erasmus, the sub on the Thursday night, Box, not the sub. It's like bird in hands were two in a bush. You just never know if Sard's going to be the sub. It's so relevant, though, as a quote, because it's like you go with the information you've got, right? But yeah, went Box and Warner in from Moraes and Davidson. So from the trade out front, it was something that I just had to get that sort of the trade to happen. Warner looks... The thing with Warner, we were sort of talking about at DI is like, yes, he may be a 7th forward in the team now, but with the way Daniel's playing, how often do you have the same 6 forwards from round 10 to the end of the season? There's always going to be something that happens. So I was more than comfortable to bring in that 7th forward, even if it meant like one of the forwards plays in the mid for a little while. VC'd Andy Brayshaw. He's been safe as houses pick this year. And it was the good part in a way is that I didn't have Nick Dacos, so I didn't have to make that decision. So it was really only going to go one way on the Thursday night. And then some of the other big sort of players in terms of Dacos, Bont, Butters, they sort of didn't set the world like Gawn did. So those are sort of the 4 main antipods I worry about each week and week. But I think I'm going to have to add a 5th one in there, and that's Ryan Marriage. I didn't think it'd come to this, but Ryan Marriage is he's a possible keeper, man.
Marriage versus Humphrey.
That's an antipod right now, which I'm wondering. I could never believe that Ryan Marriage would become one of those players that you have to sit behind the couch to watch sometimes, honestly.
Supercoach 2025, mate. Welcome to Supercoach 2025. But look, mate, pretty successful round from you, and isn't it always nice just to nail that VC very early on? Spillsy, you've done some PBs lately with the running. It's not a PB at the moment with the Supercoach, but tell us how things are currently tracking with your team, my man.
Well, they say great minds think alike, DR. I did the exact same thing that you did. Chucked the VC on Dacos. It was, I think I tweeted about it, and I said 3 swings, 3 misses, because not only did I do that, but yeah, also Captain Neil as well, when it could have been out Brayshaw and Cherry. So absolute disaster. I bought in Huswaite and fielded him over Lindsay. That's another 50 or so points on the table that I'm missing out on. And my trades last week weren't actually too bad in terms of the outs. So I did a complete backflip the plan was to bank as much coin as I could as possible to grab Bont and Whitfield this week. Obviously, Bont's got a high break even now, so we're getting a bit cheaper. So I've sort of shied away from that trade. So I got rid of Oliver, Flynn, and Kako. I bought in Warner, Huswaite, and did go early on Boxall. And if Boxall was sub, I probably would have gone early on Hayes. I just love the role so much, and I knew it was going to be a good pick. Super unfortunate. Just heart goes out to him and his family. He deserved the opportunity, and footy's a cruel game. End up holding Chera. My gut feel was that he would respond against St Kilda and have a really good game. And sort of just good without being great. He's probably going to go this week. So it's hard to believe that I've popped a 2,310 compared to you, DR, 2,438, despite doing the exact same thing with the Neil captain. So that just goes to show how far behind the mark I feel like I am. I reckon I'm an upgrade behind everyone else, but we do plan to double up this week. So It's been a really frustrating year, and I think a lot of antipods are making me pay week in, week out. Like, you forget that we trade out Horn Francis, and he's just going 118 on the weekend, and yeah, Gorn's popping. They're all popping. Whitfield was good despite the small deck. So yeah, there's a few players that I just wish I had in my side, and yeah, it comes down to luck at the end of the day. But yeah, it's been really frustrating, and yeah, need to fix a few things up. That's for sure.
You'll be able to do it, mate. You got a few extra boosts than what I have up the sleeve anyway, brother. So plenty of time. And Rossco, I tell you what, if we could actually put your game day squad ranking up here over the Supercoach, mate, you'd be feeling a lot better. Been a bit of a tough season to date, mate. But quickly tell us, mate, how the team is currently going.
Rubbish. If I had to put it in one word, like you guys, Dacos and Neil.
So 3 of us did it. Was Janath the only one that? Oh, you bastard, Janath.
I don't have either of them.
He gets away with.
All right, well, sorry, I'll take that back. You can't do much if you don't have him. All right, sorry, Rossco.
Janath Houdini.
But no, I'm trying to take the positives out of it. In our captain's corner on Third Man Up last week, recommended Brayshaw as the number 1 vice captain option. So if I owned him, I probably would have picked him, which is some sort of consolation to me. But I'm just trying my best to pick captaincy options with the players that I have. My midfield just absolutely stunk it up. Dacos, Neil, Newcomb 57, Sarong only 104, Dawson 78, Chera 83, Hustwaite 27. Yeah. Just not even a single ton, which is obviously frustrating. Then you add De Koning and Nan Curvis, who both barely cracked 100, McRae 79, Caleb Daniel 51, Petrarca only got to 99. It's hard to sort of make up a lot when you don't have these Gawn, Cherry, Whitfield, these kind of players. But trying to send caution into the wind. We'll get into my trades later. Obviously, we've got a bit of climbing to do. I think I've got a rough idea of how I want to get through the bye. So hopefully we can really start to claw back. But we'll just have to see how we go, I suppose.
You'll hit back. And the thing is, with 90% of the players that you listed there, on their day, they can go 130 plus quite easily. You just sometimes get those weeks where all of them seem to fail at the one time, and it's super frustrating. But I guarantee you, Rossco, look in a week or two's time, you look at that same list and you see hundreds all over the shop. So a bit of an unlucky week, but I guarantee you, my brother, that things will change. Top of the pod. Oh, geez, I could have been up there with a different captain choice. I could have been up there and not done it Bradbury style and actually got up, halfway during the season. But Janath is still up the top with 19,793. I'm just behind on 19,744, and then Spillsy sitting there 19,468. And Rossco, you'll be on that potty, mate. You'll be on that potty at some stage. Now I'm going to get into my rant, boys. I'm going to keep this really, really quick. But it was a week for 50-metre penalties, and it seemed like every player that gave away 50 was sitting in DR's rusty spoons. It was super, super frustrating. I'm not going to name every culprit, but this may be unfair, but I'm going to single someone out in particular because it hurt me in two ways, and it was Chad Warner. Chadley, what are you doing? Now, something I didn't mention in my quick round review was the fact that very last minute I panicked and I thought, do you know what? Should I actually make my last boost this week and bring in Saad El-Helwi? Because as Janath, you mentioned before, we had to go on the box in a way because we didn't know what was going to happen with Saad, if he was going to be the sub or not. But when the news came through that he was going to start and hopefully play the full game, I thought, do I actually boost and get Kako out? I decided just to hold on to the boost. I probably should have done that in hindsight, but I didn't. So anyway, I haven't got El-Helwi in the side. What does Warner do? El-Helwi kicks the ball, gives a stupid, soft little push in the back, and then a 50-metre penalty. So not only does he lose points to the free kick and the stupid 50, he gives points to the bloke that I was hoping went low, so I felt better about myself not actually boosting him into the side. But it seemed like all of a sudden they were just onto it in that particular game. And I don't know how many Swans players gave him away. I reckon it was at least 4 or 5 during the game. So stuff you umpires for the 50-metre penalty, stuff you Chad Warner, and bugger you Saad for converting on the scoreboard and just rubbing it in, son. But in saying that, I'm actually be looking at him this week. So my quick rant, boys, 50-meter penalties everywhere, and absolutely killed me when it came to points. Janath, you were tuning in last week from afar, and you actually said that you enjoyed the ice cream discussion, the scoop discussion. So you've actually brought this to the table this week. Tell us why on earth we're sitting up here with an ice cream menu, mate, because people may be confused.
Oh, when you talk to Mr. Whippy, mate, I'm like, oh, that brings back so many childhood memories. In fact, when in Sri Lanka, sorry, it's very off topic, but they have a very characteristic song going around. I think it's like Tchaikovsky, like seventh, whatever, sort of playing, and you just know the ice cream truck is just around the corner, about to come through. So I'm like, why don't we take an ice cream menu, and based off how Supercoach is going on this year, we pick a player and we allocate them an ice cream. It could be one here, it could be an ice cream flavor. Go for your life. I know Spillsy has one that he just wants to get off straight away. We're going to go around twice, so 8 players in total, but you can't pick the same ice cream. That's the thing. So go on, Spillsy. Who are you going with first?
Do I have a quick question? Is this just based off this week or
Based
just
off
for
this
the
year.
year?
This year.
Yeah. All right. Mine, I'm going to go a bit left field. I'm going to go for the Augustus Gelato type setup. And I'm going to go say Tristan Cherry is Biscoff. And Biscoff is just goated. It is the superior ice cream flavor. You just can't top it. And you can't top what Big Cherry's been doing. I mean, I know I didn't have him captain, but you got to give the kudos where it's due. He smashed Big O in that second half. So, yeah, that's a pretty easy one for me, boys.
Is that a double scoop?
Oh, triple, mate. Triple. If you watched last week, you would. He has. Yeah, he's up. He's on.
Right.
He's the
Fair
man,
enough.
mate. Oh, bloody kiss his shoes. He's on fire. Yeah, he's unreal.
All right. I might go next very quickly because I want to get this one off before one of you boys get it. I reckon Caleb Sarong is sherbet. It's like it looks good from the outside, but who really wants to have a sherbet? Really, when you can have, let's say, a choc dip, even a soft serve from Macca's, but you end up with a sherbet. It's like you're being sold a false promise there. So I reckon Caleb Sarong is exactly that for many coaches this year. They are
very good, mate. Well, look, I'm going with the Freckles flair here. I don't know if too many people would go the Freckles flair when you've got some of the other flavors there. Similar to Ed Richards. Now, I have gone for a bit of a redheaded man here to try to match up with the flavor, but it's more of that pod style here. I don't see too many people ordering this one here. We've got some of the other options. So Ed Richards is a nice pod, absolutely smashing it with Bontempelli in the side, and that's that flake there. That's Bontempelli. So just add that little Bont flake in there, and it tastes even better somehow. I don't know how that's the case. He's been scoring really well with Bont in the side. So Eddie Richards for Freckles Flair.
Rossco.
All right. I'm going to throw a few names on the fire here. I'm going to go with Rainbow Ice Cream. I'm going to throw in Jack Steele, Matt Rao, Lockie Neal. I think they're all fairly valid examples. We used to think they were good a few years ago, but now you just don't want to touch them.
Stiff.
I like to gloat about Matt Rao. I really do. I want to gloat, but I'll hold back.
Who's an adult picking Rainbow Ice Cream? I think Steele, Rao, Lockie Neal, perhaps. Never again.
Spillsy, back to you, mate.
A little drive-by. I love it.
I think I've actually got a good one here. So I'm going to go Bailey Humphrey, owning him for 3 weeks, and then trade him out and him popping. That's like if you have a peanut allergy and you go get the chocolate nuts. That's as bad as it gets.
Anaphylaxis. He's gone with some anaphylaxis into the mix here.
I couldn't help himself.
Very nice.
I'm gonna go bit left field here. I'm gonna go with simple single vanilla for Sack Reed. This is the 50-cent ice cream. You can get a Macca's, and it's some people diss it, but honestly, give me a soft serve any day of the week. and it's value for money. And I think Zach Reid has
Absolutely.
been value for money and more. Honestly, if you were to give me a soft serve in one hand, and let's say well, I don't know, let's I don't want to throw an ice cream under the bus, but a sherbet on the other hand, give me the single vanilla every day of the week.
That is very classy, mate. Just the old single vanilla, mate.
That's it,
Look,
mate.
I had
And
to
everyone
go.
has it. That's the other part. Everyone has the single vanilla, value for money. DR.
Absolutely. Well, look, I've got to go here. Look, I need to give a bit of a drive by. Whenever I see something that's filled with nuts, you got to give that to Pete Laddams, don't you? But what happens when you get the Pete Laddams ice cream is there's no ice cream included. All you get is a nut. So
You
you've
get the
literally
cone.
got a little, instead of the nut sundae, you've just got the nuts there and no ice cream. So I'll give that one to Pete Laddams, not just this round, but each and every round of the year.
And no waffle cone either. It's just the cup. They don't even
Nothing.
give you a cone. They just give you the cup with nuts.
Stick your hand out. There you go.
All right,
Rossco, finish us off with the bang.
I'll finish us off with a timeless classic. Maxi Gorn, Choc Dip. You know what you're going to get. Just timeless classic. People of all ages are just loving it. You know, he seems to get older and just get better. It's like the Choc Dip. You know, everyone loves the Choc Dip.
Quadruple scoop, though?
Yeah, probably like a double dip, like in the middle there.
As much as you can fit on the cone, I reckon. Jeez, look at the form.
That's it. Stack it till it falls over. Stack it till it falls over. Well, boys, I think that ends the ice cream discussion, but a few players with some very nice flavors there. Spillsy, it's on you. Is this becoming Spillsy's tweet of the week or Zach Reid tweet of the week?
It's the tweet of the Reid, and we've got Zach Reid. We got Zach Reid again. Is this? I think it's definitely at least. I had him last week. Can't remember. I had him the previous week, but he's just so relevant every single week. I absolutely do. I love him. He's just we'd be lost without him. Yeah, Zach Reid is going to have 50. We would be cooked. I mean, we're not beating Sydney without Zach Reid on the weekend. I'm telling you. So, yeah, good mate, Timmy Mitchell, he's tweeted out, Zach Reid is going to have 50 disposals. Where's the delete team button? I traded him out after Anzac Day and thought, you know what? He's done his job. What a rookie he's been. He's got a high break even. He's pushing 300K. I don't even want to know what he's priced at now. And quite frankly, I don't care. Life goes on and can't get him now. So if you own Zach Reid sitting there at D6, I'm sure pretty much all of you boys do, then yeah, you can pat yourself on the back because, yeah, what a flop. What a flop for myself. I've got a lot to do with why we're struggling. He's the real antipod. That's why I'm going so bad, because I've got a Luke Trainer 46 at D6 when I could have a 130 from Reid. Just phenomenal. So yeah, kudos to you, Timmy. Great tweet. Got to give Zach Reid more recognition. He's a star.
Well, Spillsy, why don't you take that 14 down, mate? What number's Zach Reid?
31, mate. So yeah, obviously great Dustin Fletcher.
Up.
Mate. At least it's good that Zachy boy is a bit more durable, and I can't believe we're saying that. I mean, he's been the one that's really struggled to get on the park, but at least you get to watch him on the tally. So yeah, that number 14 is not aging too well. Aging like milk, DR, in the background there. It's just, it's very sad watching the Bombers, and my favourite player is never out there. So what can you do?
I got a feel for him, mate. Talking about players that aren't out there, before we get into the injuries this week, just want to give our shout out to this young man. What a shattering, not from a Supercoach point of view, but just for this bloke. He came in, he looked really, really good, did Lewis Hayes. And if we quickly do focus on Supercoach just for a sec, I think for many coaches, this guy was absolutely booked in at halftime as potentially a target to get in this week. Unfortunately, it's just not the case. ACL. Spillsy, just quick shout out as an Essendon man to this young fella before we talk about the injuries.
Yeah, I already gave him one before, but yeah, huge shout out to Lewis. He was drafted in 2022, and he's always second fiddle behind Ridley. Just couldn't quite crack it in the seniors, and his VFL form has been just second to none. Just he got his opportunity. He had to work for it, and yeah, I just can't believe what I saw. It looked bad. The vision's terrible. It only looks like an ACL. You kind of knew it was an ACL before they sort of revealed it. But yeah, had such a great first half, and I mean what I said before. If Boxall is sub, I'm going early on Hayes. That's how confident I was on the pick, and you can't write the script. So yeah, best wishes to him, and I hope he recovers well, and can't wait to absolutely lock him in the side next year as hopefully the rookie of the year in defence. So yeah, we'll see how he goes.
Yeah, super unfortunate, mate.
Look at Will Ashcroft, mate. Look at Will Ashcroft, ACL and the North Smith medalist.
Point.
You can turn it around.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely,
you
can. And geez, having Essendon just been super unlucky with that. But let's quickly flick through this, boys, the injury list. So we've got Adelaide here. Crouch is probably the main one here, 3 to 5 weeks out. And I think there's been one man by the name of James Peatling that's, done really well with that. So, well, I think we've got a question about Peatling as well. We might answer a little bit later on in the potty. Now, Jared Berry's out for 1 week with concussion. Who comes in? Potentially someone like Kitty Coleman. It's not like for like, but possibly a Fletcher could move to a wing, even though he's been fantastic down back. But I think he's probably the main one for us. And with Henry Smith and Sam Day still out, may continue to see Darcy Fort in the side for anyone that decided to pod that up and bring him in. Now, Janath, I need you to talk quickly here, mate. This is a big injury list.
Half the teams
about the relevance.
Yeah, well, I guess from a Supercoach point of things, the big one will be Mitch McGovern chest injury, but at the same time, Lockie Cowan. It did seem very rushed, him being brought back in, and he's done another hamstring. So I think Matty Carroll or Jordan Boyd will come in. If McGovern's out, then Carroll and Boyd will both come in. So for those that went with Carroll, he should be straight back in. He may even be back in without both of those two boys going down, because it did look like Carroll was ahead of Boyd on the injury list. I think that's the main one from a Supercoach relevancy. The only thing I want to touch on is a lot of people are thinking that Adam Cerra played as a halfback on Friday night against the Saints. Just a matter of circumstance. McGovern went down end of the first. Cerra's magnet got moved straight to halfback in the second quarter. I think one of the things, reflecting back on it now, is probably we didn't give enough credit to George Hewitt in the preseason, because like a Cerra, he got moved to halfback last year. Something we could have thought about a bit more was the fact that if an injury happened, Cerra is probably the first one to moved out of the midfield, whereas Hewitt, around that same price, was always going to get locked in the midfield when the Matt Kennedy trade happens. So just reflecting back now.
Very nice, mate. On to Collingwood. So DeGoey, Achilles, still don't know much about that. McStay's still out there. Lockie Schultz is the other one out due to concussion protocols. For Essendon, already talked about young Lewis Hayes. Super unfortunate, but we do have some players about to return. So we've got Parrish, who's around a week away, and that could blow out. Who really knows about that? Gresham's the other one, who's around a week away. I'm thinking Sardo Helwey. Spillsy, do you think any of these players could potentially affect Sard? We've even got Dylan Shield, that was a sub last week, who could come in for a full game. Are you worried about that at all, mate? Do you think any of these blokes could potentially come in and then he could lose his spot? Or we've got maybe a day Wicks that could go out of the side. Any thoughts, mate?
The only ones are the ones that are long-termers. So like Hayes and Ridley, they're the only two. But I think that sort of takes the sub-vest off Sard, and we saw that. Was it the first time for the year where he wasn't sub on the weekend?
Yep.
So a really good opportunity for him. And he's another one that's had to do it the hard way. But we've been riddled with injuries, and that really opens the door. But I suppose another one as well, if you have Elijah Sardis, well, that's dead. I mean, you've got to fix that. You've got to correct that trade, because he's dominating the VFL, does every week. He always gets 35, 40 disposals in the VFL, but just can't crack it at the level. And with Darcy Boy back, ideally next week, that'll definitely put a nail in that selection. So, but yeah, in terms of Sardo Hawley, I think he's fine. So, yeah, if he's not sub, definitely looking to bring him in. It's slim pickings. There's not many rookies available, so it looks like he's the best up for grabs. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're stuffed, mate. 41 disposed with 10 clearances and a goal for Elijah in the VFL, mate, as you said.
Yeah, ridiculous. But
it's probably on 60% time on ground as well.
The tog for some players, like the box, just ridiculous, mate. Probably the big one here from Fro is Shrek Darcy. Now, he's a test for a knee. Did I hear news that it may only be a week and then he's available again? Because I know a lot of people think maybe Dogger Jackson may really come into relevance here. Potentially as well, Oscar McDonald. I'm worried it could only be for a week, though. We've got Jager that's out. Noddy may be back soon. We know that Young's out for an extended period of time. So, Janath, any thoughts on the mix when it comes to Freo here, mate?
Yeah, we were sort of speaking about whether to bring in Warner, given the fact we might have to bring in Jackson next week. But I think that's sort of gone out of the water now that Shrek is just a 1 week injury. It's very annoying as sort of because you know how good Dogger is. With regards to those other injuries, Noddy, Cooper Simpson is a rookie that'll be on the bubble next week if he plays this week. And his timing sort of aligns with Noddy coming back in. Cooper Simpson playing sort of that halfback role. It's going to be quite interesting to see what the makeup will be when Nod does come back in and who he comes in for. It may even be for Murphy Reed, who just arguably as a previous owner just looks like he's sort of hit the rookie wall. So, yeah, just something that we'll have to monitor in the upcoming weeks.
Beautiful, mate. Alrighty, on to that Catters. I don't even know if we can trust what's on the list here, but got Conway, Guthrie, Lawson Humphreys out with concussion protocols, Mitch Nevitt, got Brian.
Can I jump in here, DR?
Please, Spills.
So
jump in, son.
So we got Humphreys, we've got Collar Jasny, go up a bit. There's another one as well I'm missing.
Stewart, Henry, Jack Henry.
Henry. Jed Buse. So, yeah, looks good, but I expect Chris Scott to just throw him back out of the side in an instant. I mean, it's unrealistic.
Yeah, well, when it comes to the top traded in players for the week, Spills,
he's right up there.
You may be very surprised, my friend, to see a Jay Buse right near the top of the list. So
I'm not. That's why I brought it up. I did have a look at it, and I thought, look at all these injuries to defenders that Geelong have gotten. Only Chris Scott would do something radical. He and Bevo baz each other. So yeah,
who knows,
I would not go 10-foot pole territory almost. I think with that one.
Don't think there's much here for the Suns. Will Graham with a shoulder. Lockie Weller still out of the side. Bedford is a test as well as Cogs. You've still got Brent Daniels out for 4 weeks. Josh Kelly hip for 3 weeks. Surprised to see Jelly out. Jake Stringer 3 to 4 weeks as well. So there's certainly some best 22 players out of the side there.
Quick one on that. With the Bedford is that if Bedford plays and goes to Sarong, not Brayshaw, we could see Sarong at sub 500 at his bye, after his bye. And I think that's something he's 530 now with a break even of 134. Port Adelaide
he's still
next
got
week
tag games after his bye, though. I reckon he's got Jordan again.
But he can't be as bad as he has been. There's going to be a point where he turns the corner. Like we saw Brayshaw post by last year.
I agree. It's Brayshaw every day.
At 500, if he got Sarong at 500, that is incredible buying.
I literally call a low tongue a sarong now. That's what he does, isn't it? Just low ton after low ton. So, but look, mate, yeah, good shout.
At least he's consistent.
Absolutely, mate. You know what you're getting, don't you? Not much relevance, I don't think, there for the Hawks. Cam McKenzie, I'm just hoping that the Husk can keep his spot. When it comes to the D's, again, we've got Jack Viney there for concussion 1 to 2 weeks, which is unfortunate, but don't think a lot of relevance.
Interesting. Clayton Oliver's a tagger. I didn't see that one coming personally,
Bizarre.
But is this now the role which he plays? And what are the ramifications? Do we need to consider him as a tagger move? Where he did a pretty good job on Giant Newcomb on the weekend.
How much are you playing a bloke to tag? Seriously, how much can we pay a bloke to try to stop another player from getting the ball?
It's like they want him to leave.
Well, I had him really highly rated in my top 8 midfielders for the year. Aren't I looking silly there? I went for a bit of a pod pick. None of you guys did. And I thought, no, I've got faith in Clary, but it's going to be a big discussion for the club moving forward. And I just don't see how they can stay together. But I think it's going to be the contract that probably does, unless he's going to take a pay cut at this stage or they're going to pay some of his salary. North, I don't think a heap of relevance there. Farrell is out for 4 to 6 weeks with a knee injury. So does that potentially help someone like a Josh Sin? Potentially, I'm not too sure about that.
Rosie.
Richmond,
Definitely up
geez,
Connor.
bit of a list there, but I don't think heap of relevance. I really want to see Smiley get a crack. That would be really good. Roscoe, onto the Saners here, mate. Any relevance Supercoach-wise that we need to be taking into consideration?
I think Mason Wood probably comes in this week. I think Boxall might be done for.
Don't, Ross. Come on,
man.
mate.
Give me
No,
some
I
good
think
news.
if you're holding Collard, if you're holding Boxall, I think this is the week to move them on. I think Butler will be straight in for Collard. I think
Brad
Wood
Hill should be dropped.
Well, I could say a lot about Brad Hill, but I don't think they'll drop him. Liam O'Connell, I know there is a question what we'll address in the mailbag, other video, about Liam O'Connell. Dougal Howard's hamstrings are like cheese strings. They keep falling off the bone. Another 6 to 7 weeks for him. It's time that Laura Kane pulls her finger out, admits that they were wrong to suspend Toru so he could play him. We can't even play Zane Cordy. He's injured too, so I don't know what we're going to do there. West Coast smoky this week if they get Allen back. They put him forward. He could kick 10.
There we go.
Other than that, not much Supercoach relevance other than I think we're starting to fall off a little bit. And the rookies are not looking so great.
Unfortunate news there, mate. Not many positives we got out of that, unfortunately, Roscoe. No. For Sydney, we've got Totoli back for 2 weeks. Robbie Fox calf 1 week. Errol is still 4 to 6. Callum Mills is a test. Papley's still out for 4 to 6. So a bit of relevance there. Marty and Mills will both be a test to play against Carlton on Friday night. So a bit of a tough decision there. Pete Laddam's impressed, apparently. Come on, give us a break. Sheldrick's probably the other one. 13 disposals and a goal from just 33% game time. Bit of a risk there. I just see sub written all over him. But, yeah, can't really do much more in that time to impress. Oscar Allen is a test for this week. Onto the West Coast Eagles. Yo still out with his ankle there. McGovern, concussion. So McGovern's return will be a massive boost if he gets through. Interesting for Marek, but I still think Marek would be a great pick. Yeah. And with the doggies, obviously Darcy's out for 4 to 7 weeks. Liam Jones still out with the calf 1 to 2. How does that affect Bus? Trelaw calf 1 to 3. And then Cody Waitman indefinite at the moment. But they are the injuries, lads. Anything else that you want to add to that before we get back to the slides?
Nah, all good, mate.
Beautiful. All right, Janath. Now, we did talk about before the fact that the buys are coming up, and this is one of your suggestions. Just to let the community know how we're currently tracking in regards to the buys. So you're first up the top here when it says for me. Tell us about your buy structure currently. Are you happy with it? And what are you planning to do about it before we hit round 12, which is only in 2 weeks?
Yeah, so it's really snuck up on us. I guess we've been so focused on just trying to maximize upgrade season around these sort of dodgy rookies that the buys are here. And I think this will really be the survival of the fittest, as always. And perhaps more so than last year's, if you have a one buy bad round, it won't be as easy to make up ground because the buy rounds are split over 5 weeks this year. So I'm just going to talk through the teams very quickly if you for the audio listeners. So round 12, Carlton, North Melbourne, Port Adelaide Bulldogs. Round 13, Freo and St Kilda. Round 14, Collingwood, Gold Coast, Sydney, Richmond. Round 15, Adelaide, Hawks, Demons, Eagles. Round 16, Lions, Bombers, Cats, Giants. So when I was doing my planning sort of this morning, 6 sort of pro keepers in that first buy, and that's the one which right now when looking at it is the one that I feel like no matter how adequately you plan for it, if you don't have players on this buy, it's pretty hard to sort of say that your team's in a very strong state just with how much relevance there is. So Cherry, if I just have a look here, so Cherry, Horn Francis, Sheasel, DeConning are the 4. Plus, I've got Daniel and Chera as sort of those players that they could as equally be there at the buy or have been traded early. I think I'll keep them and move them on straight away for Butters or Bond coming off the bye, even because if you have a look at the byes after that, four keepers in the round 13, 2 keepers in the round 14, 3 keepers in the round 15, 4 keepers in the round 16. The other byes feel pretty safe. I'm pretty happy with them. And even with the trades this week, I'll be bringing in Jack Sinclair, one of Dane Zorko, Maxi Holmes, or Tom Green, and all of them share that last buy there. So from a buy standpoint, it should be okay. I'll move on to you, Rossco. You happy with your sort of structure? So does that mean 4 primos on the round 12 buy? Do you want to just talk us through that?
Yeah. So obviously those numbers look big, 6, 7, 4, 7, and 7. But I've just included everyone who's on the buy. Now, obviously, I've got some dead rookies in there as well. Like Harry Boyd's on a buy round 13. I've counted him, but he's not a primo. I think I should actually have a fairly decent amount of trade outs that I can make each week to sort of reduce that number. So I'm pretty happy with where I sit at the moment. The 13 buy will be interesting with, I think it's Sarong, McRae, a couple of others, including one who I'm considering trading in this week. But I'll just sort of manage as we go. I think going to be playing around a lot with a buy planner and sort of see how we get through it. So fingers crossed.
All righty, boys.
DR.
On to me. So round 6, I've got 6 on the buy in total. This is premiums I'm talking about here. And I'm including Daniel and Shera there as well. And I'll be honest, I'm seriously considering, I am planning at this stage, holding Adam Chera all the way through the buys because I really like his fixture during that buy period. And I think he can actually cover after that tough initial round 12 buy. So I'm really seriously considering keeping on to him in round 13. Pretty easy, 3 on the buy. Round 14, 3 primos on the buy as well as round 15. And then round 16 is a bit of a tough one for me, having so many lines in the side. 5 on the buy with only 14 keepers playing. But obviously we're going to make some trades throughout this time, and these numbers could certainly change. I think round 12 will definitely stay the same at this stage, but the others will certainly be chopping and changing as we go. And Spillsy, you're down the bottom, mate. How are you tracking for the boys yourself, brother?
I think not too bad. I really like Janath's balance, and yours is pretty good too. I worry with round 16, a couple of trade-ins this week that might really hurt that. I've only included primos because it's such a grey area of the rookies. I didn't really want to overcomplicate it because, look, 2/3 of them aren't really playing, and buddy, 90% of them are probably going to be traded out as well. So I kind of just focused on the primos, and I have shouted out the mid prices as well. So, I've got 5 out round 12, including Daniel. So you'd argue the case that that's going to be 4. We elect not to trade him this week and maybe trade him next week. Round 13, 3 out. So that's pretty good. 14 and 15, also 3 out. And that's Roberts and Marek. So do we buy flip Roberts when he has his buy? Does Marek still plead the case to be a top 6 forward? So I put him in there, and round 16 could be a bit of a pod buy. It might be where I come undone a little bit. So I have to do a bit of soul searching with that one. But we'll see what happens. Could have a lot to do with who we bring in this week. So not a bad spot to be in. I do like your little strategy there, DR, with holding Adam Chera, because he's one that I'm definitely looking to shaft this week. So maybe a good case to maybe hold that thought.
Just looking at that fixture, I think that lots of people will jump off. So I expect his ownership to go down a lot, and he'll be more of a pod pick for me as well. I'm not expecting him to set the world on fire, but if you can get back to that, 100 type average, just pumping out some consistent scores, and I think I'll take it, Spillsy. But don't blame anyone that really wants to trade him out. Boys, anything else you want to bookend the buy chat with? Maybe just one question just to ask you before we move on to the next slide. How many premiums is too many on the one buy? So would you be, do you think 6 is like the maximum? Could you push that to 7? Rossco, I'll start with you, mate. How many primos is too many to have, do you think, on the one buy? And before you say, it's obviously team dependent. You could have some extra rookies that are there, etc. But how many do you think is too many?
I'm pretty happy with like a maximum of 5. But it'll be interesting to see because obviously we've got 5 consecutive buy rounds. Should give people a bit more flexibility to play around with trades and really work it that way. And I noticed in the buys last year, sort of nailing a vice captain or a captain in the round who ends up being, the best or one of the better ones, can sort of nullify the effect of having a few players off anyway, because it is best 18. So, if your best 18 captain is 350, you're losing all the zeros, and people are just losing rubbish rookie scores or whatever anyway. So I think 5 for me.
That's a great point you made there, particularly with me in my round 16 buy with 5 out. Obviously, going to have a fully upgraded side by then. If we're looking good, there's every chance we can do a cheeky little luxury sideways, just something a bit more beneficial if one of those 5 players just isn't hitting form. So, yeah, good to know. It's a good point.
How many is too
I
many,
would say
Spillsy?
5.
Oh,
5
sorry,
max.
Janath.
5
you're
max.
5,
No.
Janath?
I'd say 5. 5 or 6. The tough one is with the
trouble.
The tough one is with the round 12. The only reason I say 6 is if you've got Butters, Bont, Rosie, Cherry, Sheasel, that's 5 right there. And I feel like all 5 of them are players you want in your final team. So if you've already got them, I can't really begrudge you or Horn France, that's 6 right there. Players that you probably want in your final team, you can't really be begrudged for that. Whereas in the other buy rounds, I feel less confident in that pool of players ending up being in the final team, if that makes any sense. So in the first one, 5, maximum 6. But in the other ones, I'd say 5, possibly even 4. And some like the Collingwood, Gold Coast, Sydney, Richmond one, apart from Dacos and maybe Roberts, who else are we really going after from those teams?
Yeah, it'd be pods. That'd be pod selections. So
yeah.
That's
Warner.
a good point as
Warner's
well.
probably the other one. So like 3,
Warner.
You don't necessarily need to stack that buy around, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I was originally thinking 6 more because of that round 12 buy, as you said, Janath, with some of those names. But yeah, probably 5 max is what you'd look to do, I think, in an ideal world. Alrighty, boys. Rookie data dump. Now, Rossco, we haven't had time for the graphic this week, been super, super busy, but you do have a list of players. And let's be honest, if the graphic was here, it'd probably be a white screen because the cupboard is so bare at the moment.
There's nothing.
It is ridiculous. Coaches are scrambling. Coaches are getting desperate. That's why you see players like Boxall in our side a week early. What on earth do we do? Rossco, do you have any good news for us here? Or are we just going to be down in the dumps with some of the names that you've got on this list, mate?
I think, as you say, Sada, who is probably the one. Now, I wanted to give a shout out to Scopes, the man we know and love. He sort of put up a post with a good list of all the rookies on the bubble. However, it's not really nice viewing to sort of read. Like, obviously, we've got a few sort of we would consider dead ones like Campriali, Grzuski, James Leake and all that are technically on the bubble. Ones that are a chance to play this week, Oscar McDonald, probably job security issues. I wouldn't mind Fremantle dropping Pat Voss and keeping McDonald in. I think Pat Voss wasn't really that great on the weekend, so that could be possible. Boxall, I think he might be done for now. We've got Tunstall, who's sort of very in and out of the Lions side, sub-candidate. Wiltshire just got dropped for Geelong last round. Probably going to be hard for him to work his way back in. Maley got subbed off for North. Does he go out? Not really sure. Either way, he's got a sub-affected score in there. Same with Delana. He got subbed on for GWS, but his job security is not great. Buslinger played 2 games. One as a sub, then got dropped. So not really looking good with him. Same with Narkle. Another sort of sub-affected score kind of player. Then we got Joe Fonte from GWS, who had a nice one. He didn't score so well this week, so maybe not him at an elevated price, 160K. We've got a few that aren't on the bubble this week. Cooper Simpson could be a good trade-in option next week if he holds his place. Will Lorenz scored a nice 80-something, but then immediately got dropped for Moraes. So maybe Moraes is in front of him in the pecking order. Is there anyone else that I'm sort of missing there? I don't know if there is. You
did mention it before. I think, DR, you mentioned it before. Oh no, sorry, it was you, Rossco. In terms of Liam O'Connell, like
Oh yes, O'Connell. Yeah,
his price is still he's still a rookie. He's still only priced 137k. But now with Howard out, at least the job security will be there. So that could be a decent pivot from a Sardell Howie type. I guess the other one you mentioned, I'm not sure if you mentioned
Wicks is one that I missed there.
Archday, did you mention Oscar McDonald?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess if it's going to be hard if Darcy's not present. The only other one as well is Thomas Sims, ruck forward for Richmond, 45 on the weekend, looked okay. At least he could provide sort of ruck cover in that early buy round if you want, and you have Cherry and TDK, for instance, only 13k up from Harry Boyd, but it's really considering what's a trade worth now. Like, what is it? Like, that's just something to keep in there. Finbar Marley as well. The Moose got subbed off on the weekend. Another one of those ruck forward types.
Well, boys,
not
I think
much.
that was the quickest rookie data dump in history. And it's not because we've got a lack of info or ideas. It's simply because, as Rossco touched on earlier, half of the rookies that seem to be on the bubble have been on the bubble since last century. And the other blokes that we've got available, we're going early on most of them. So wish we had better news, but unfortunately, that is the landscape that we're currently in. The cupboard is absolutely bare.
Can I chuck a left field one out there?
Please.
He's not a rookie. He is a player. I'll do a guess who. He was a player that was very highly touted in preseason.
Ooh,
injury.
Is he from Rossco's side?
He is from Rossco's side. Mateus Filippo, 313,800. What is the difference between downgrading a Daniel to a Filippo, banking, what would it be, 130k? Like, is that, and then you see Filippo making the cash up the other way. Didn't get CBAs on the weekend, but you'd imagine he'd end up getting CBAs, like in the Saints midfield after easing back in. Is that somewhere that you may potentially look to go if Daniel gets dropped, especially if he gets dropped this week?
You could. Rossco, you're probably the one to ask, you being the Saints man. I hate going early, even though he's not officially a rookie. I'd love to see one more week of him actually in that midfield and what the mix looks like upon his return. But Rossco, you got any thoughts about the poo?
I think potentially, I think he showed enough against Carlton to say that he's probably going to come out and play pretty well. And his fitness should build. He should get more mid-time. And that Corky might have still been affecting him a little bit. He still popped out of 78. So hopefully we can sort of see an improvement on that and then, sort of get him in.
All right. Well, another option just to throw into the mix. However, he's not currently on this list. What we're going to quickly do is go through the top 10 most traded in players. You can see the two boys up the top there, Joshy and Scobes. I actually went through their opinions on this on Monday Rage Trades, but we're quickly going to go through some of our opinions when it comes to the list. So we might go from the bottom up. And I'd say probably the second most controversial selection on this list is number 10, CJ. Spills, pronounce his name again because I know you can do it and you like to show off about this. Go on.
Is that like, is it Janath? Is that who it is? Who is it?
It's Janath, mate.
I can't get his first name. It's like Chanku Janath or something like that.
I thought wasn't this your party trick?
Oh, look, there are a couple of names that do get me. I think they get a lot of commentators off guard sometimes.
Jeez,
CJ.
I was trying to talk you up there, mate, but
he's no R2 Bosan Falaki though. That's for sure.
Oh, that's the one. That's the one.
It was one last week that I got and you couldn't pronounce it. I can't remember what it was though.
You are good when it comes to that sort of stuff, Spills, with the numbers and the boots and the pronunciations. But CJ down the bottom, mid forward, 387,400 after a couple of nice 130s. We see his break even at -38. And with a score of 90, he'll rise over 55k. This is one of those plays I think Janath was just talking about with someone like Mateus Philippou. But Boys, does anyone have any strong thoughts each way about CJ? I would not be going there myself. I think these are a couple of out-of-the-box scores, and I would not be getting used to 130s from CJ. So I think this has trap written all over it. But does anyone share a different opinion and think that there's a world and it's actually viable to go to CJ this week?
I know some people. You go.
I was reading something. Sorry, Janath. That said apparently he's been thrown back to halfback where he likes to play the best or something like that. And I think D'Ambrosio's gone from halfback to wing, which is interesting. I think Amon being out probably helped him. Is he a mid-forward or a mid-def? Because it says they're mid-forward, which probably means I would never touch him.
He's a mid-def.
Yeah, defensive status might make him a bit more likely. Spoiler for a couple of slides ahead, I'm looking at Holmes as one that I'm looking to buy into. But if I could save myself 110K and make 57K, interesting.
You're locking in another trade down the line, though.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I know a lot of people sort of want to trade playing with fire. Like I know I've seen trades where it's Nick Dacos out for Janath in, like the instant cash. It works 3 out of 10 times. The 7 out of 10 times it doesn't work is when you lose the trade him out, and then trade him back in. And the middleman here being CJ not working out at all. And like we've seen so many times, even with Bailey Humphrey is a perfect example where there's 2 good scores back-to-back sort of suck you in. I just don't see it with CJ as a viable pick in the middle of upgrade season. Might be a bit blunt, but not for me.
I think most of us agree there. Maxi Holmes, I'm going to go straight to you, Rossco, because you said you're considering bringing him in this week. Tell us why, mate.
Yeah, I just think it's value at 498K to get him in the defensive line. That's all there is to it. His 3-round average isn't great, but it suits my buy structure to sort of have him come in. It takes one less player off the sort of busier buys, and not really concerned about him making any money or whatever. It's season hold now, but at 498K, it's a lot better than what I probably could have bought him for 6 weeks ago. So I think I'll probably have a look to go there.
Do you want something I'm really thinking about as well with Holmes is West Coast once, North once, Richmond twice, Essendon twice.
How does that happen?
Huge.
I don't know how that can happen for Geelong.
Can I ask a selfish question then, boys?
Yeah.
If we've got the choice, well, we do have the choice this week between, Max Holmes and Jordan Clark. Which player are you selecting? Because I may be taking a really good look at Jordan Clark this week. Any advice on people like myself that have got the 2 options? You can only get one.
Apart from this week, Clark's previous high score was 122. So he's in and around. Are you the type DR that wants that sort of higher ceiling, lower floor, or the type that 9 out of 10 scores are 100 to 110? That 1 out of 10 score maybe a 70 or 140. Like, what type of coach would you go?
I'm probably going the 9 out of 10. I'm going Mr. Consistent.
I'm going Clark so far ahead, I think.
So far ahead.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, as well. He's giving a bit of Hulk Hogan, is it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just watch a lot of Shorty and just the frustration he has. Like, you're seeing, you get the good and the bad with Holmes, and the bad's so, like, it's bloody terrible. So I think he's the best buy for that price, and yeah, he's really good for the buy structure. So I'd like that for Rossco. He's got his hand up for a question. Is that what that was, Ross? Yeah.
If you want my hot take, a really hot take, you say that Jordan Clark is so far ahead. I would maybe even have Luke the Nuke Ryan in front of him this week.
Yeah, it's that was
or Holmes.
No, it's in front of Clark. I reckon Ryan could.
It looked bad last week, not this week we just had, but the previous week against St Kilda. I thought Ryan was doing all the damage and taking all the ball away.
He was hungry. He was sprinting to get the kick-ins. It was like the Ryan of old.
That's a fair bump. Like, I'm happy to.
But how can you go there? He's had 6 5 scores less than 81 this year, Ryan. Like
the
thing with
risk-free
Holmes.
reward.
The thing with Holmes is he can win you a week. That's the thing I really like about Holmes. Is he had 3 really tough matchups back to back in Hawthorn, Carlton, Collingwood, and those coincide with his poor scores. And I don't think Geelong's fixture so far has been easy by any means in terms of the midfield matchups they face. But it gets after Port Adelaide this week, it gets a bit easier. As a Clark, I'm saying this as a Clark owner as well, so I own Clark. And yes, he's the best way to describe it is a player that you never worry about because he'll hit the score that you want him to get every week, but he rarely ever does much higher or lower than that, except for the 146 on the weekend and the 58 before that. I guess that's the
give him a mulligan for
you'll
that.
see.
That's a mulligan score.
That's what I mean. Is like with Holmes, I feel like you got the role, and everything's running through Holmes and Smith and Bailey at Geelong. Like,
yeah, probably not give him Holmes the credit he deserves. Like
when Geelong wins big,
is a good buy.
When Geelong wins big, I think those two will pad up. Like they're players that we'll want to have, almost to the point where they'll be must-haves.
Oh, it's a big decision then I've got in my hands this week. Big decision because we might just quickly go up to while we're talking about the midfielders all the way up to the top. Jack Sinclair. He's locked for me this week, boys. 529,400. The 3-rounder is only 102, but we know what this man is actually capable of. Now, the break-even's at 106, so it's not an absolute bargain that we're looking at here, but potentially he could absolutely smash it out of the park. So he's already owned by 27% of the comp. He's gone up by 4.6% this week as the most traded in player. Boys, are we all planning on bringing in Jack Sinclair this week? If you haven't already got him, I'll put my hand up. I'm very keen on the man.
Yeah. Lock it in.
Lock it in. Simple as that. Beautiful.
The thing is, people are paying up $630 for him a month ago. Like that's the kind of player. This is a fallen premium for Seaman. He got to $642K. Like we know that's in him this season as well. Like I think you got to lock it in.
We've got a great run of fixtures coming up too.
Yeah.
Good to hear, Rossco. I think he's an absolute lock for me this week. I'll go just down to the third bottom list now, number 7. Josh Dunkley. I am a very, very happy owner. Bought him in a couple of weeks ago. Obviously got, a decent type 100 the week before, then a 130 against the Roos. A very happy owner. Janath, you have the bad dunks?
Very happy owner as well. 114. And another fallen premium. I think there are so many good options this week so I'm just going to sidetrack here a little bit, but what more can you ask? I think there's 7 premiums, or you could possibly even say 8 with Rosie, but he's not exactly fallen at the moment. And I think that it's almost good if we can rank them in some means. Perhaps we can do the defenders, then the midfielders. But I think Sinclair, Zorko, Holmes, Dale, and Clark are all viable options to bring in. And then Dunks, Rosie, and Tom Green, who's a player that's not on here, but I think severely underrated, as well as another one to consider. In terms of those midfielders, Dunks, Rosie, Tom Green, it's almost, I feel like Connor Rosie is a must-have in your final team. Like, that's the kind of role he's playing. I've sort of come around to it that he's going to play in this position all year long. I was a bit skeptical at first, but I think that Rosie's going to be a must-have. He may drop a little bit of coin short-term, but post-buy, he's a player that we'll want in. Tom Green's a really interesting one. We always have this trouble to sort of peg him where he's going to finish up because he's got that top 3 midfield potential, but then he's just a really weird kind of Supercoach player. Like he's another flat 100 sort of guy.
Can be inconsistent and like pretty bad soft tissue history. So I couldn't do it, and doesn't have a good buy either. Don't know.
How would you rank those 3, Spillsy? Dunks, Rosie, Tom Green.
I'm gonna. So wait, say a list again.
Dunks, Rosie, Tom Green.
Are we having Sinclair in there as well as a mid?
We'll do the defenders. You can add the defenders in there as well if you want. So
can I actually add Sinclair in there just because I think it's so relevant with Dunkley, Sinclair. I already know. I'm gonna cop so much in the comments in this podcast. I've actually got Dunkley ahead of Sinclair. I don't know why. I just really like him as a pick. His contested ball is so good. The only thing really holding me back from it is his buy. Sinclair's a little bit better, but then again, I do have fair few Freo boys in the mix. So I don't know. I just feel like with Sinclair, I'd love to see that 124 without a pretty crunch time sort of goal. I just like to. I don't like players that salvage their score like by hitting the scoreboard or big moments type thing. Where dunks are just in and under. He's going to do it every week, so it's a hot take, and like feel free to come at me, but I don't know. I think Dunkley, just what I think anyway. My gut feel just says he's so cheap, so much meat on the bone, but it wouldn't be by much, boys. I mean, Sinclair he'd be so close. I can barely split him. It's just the buy that makes it a bit hard, and then the next one we got Holmes as well. So yeah, he's a really good bang for buck type pick. You're looking to save a bit of money. Yeah, I think he's bottomed out, so I feel like he could be a fine pick, and obviously that fixture opens up as well. So, yeah, what do you boys reckon on that take? It's a bit of a rowdy one, but got to be different sometimes.
We haven't discussed is Dane Zorko to add to the mix here.
Zorko's a funny one. I forget he's there just because I've owned him like all year. But yeah, Zorko, great buy. Obviously, if you don't have him in defense, I think George is going to antipod this for the rest of the year. Obviously, that age factor. So there are coaches out there that are overlooking him, but probably going to be hard. Janath as well. So he's probably going to be one where you can grab him. He's at the cheapest price, but obviously Kitty's in the mix too. So I really would like to wait and see what sort of effect Kitty Coleman has on Zorko upon return. I don't think we should worry too much about it, but he's one of those ones where if you don't own him, I wouldn't be bringing him in. I'd like to see what he sort of does first. So, yeah, Zorks is a really tricky one. I'd definitely pick Sinclair ahead of him at this point in time. So it's a bit of a unique sort of situation, boys.
The question for me was, if Jared Berry didn't get injured and Jasper Fletcher wasn't moved to the wing, what score would Zorko scored in that game? Because I felt so much ball went through him in that second half that his score just kept going up and up and up. But it didn't feel like the score was something that we would have seen if Berry hadn't got injured, if that makes any sense. Which is where I felt more confident seeing Holmes' spike score. He even went off for HIA throughout the game and he still got to that 134 against a tough GWS midfield. Like that's where I'm sort of thinking.
Can I just come to Zorko's defense a little bit here? I watched that St Kilda game live where he only got, I think, 105 odd points for 30 plus possessions. There were a couple of direct turnovers which would have hurt him, but I think he was severely underscored for that game. I think looking at the stats here and the numbers, that could have been a 120 in other weeks. And I think just having that extra 120 there, you're almost thinking a little bit differently about the pick. And I was basically thinking, look, 2 weeks VFL, then Kitty straight back into the side. I don't know if that's actually going to be the case. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kitty in this week for someone like Jared Berry. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised to see him there for the next couple of weeks. We've got Tom Duday sitting there as well that's ready to come back into the side very, very soon. But I think that these two boys is a chance. They may actually have to bide their time. Although they're really good players and Kitty in the past has been an automatic in, it's hard to be kicking players out of this side, particularly with Fletcher playing well down there. So, yeah, I'm not too sure about the whole Kitty situation at the moment, but I think potentially it could actually be a better thing for Zorko, Kitty down there as opposed to Jasper Fletcher. Because I think Fletcher can do more of a job that Zorko does, whereas Kitty's more of that distributed by foot. And I think the TOG might be a little bit lower there. So it's an interesting discussion. But if I can quickly rate, do you know what? I want to count Rosie, if I may, as a defender.
Okay.
Because I think that's the plan for most people. If you own Rosie or if you're looking to trade in Rosie, you're not looking to get him in the midfield. It's going to be as a defender. So if I was to rate, just say these four, being Sinclair, Rosie, Zorko, and Holmes, I'd have it Sinclair, Rosie. I'm going to put Zorko ahead of Holmes.
Clark as well. Clark.
I'm going to put him number 3. So I'm going to have Sinclair, Rosie, Clark, Zorko, and Holmes. That would be my rating of those 5 defenders.
It's hard to argue, yeah.
Dunkley, well, he's a midfielder at the end of the day, isn't he? All I'll say about Josh Dunkley is at 540k, I think he's superb value and the type of player that you need to be targeting at this stage of the season. He's got that later buy as well. So we already went through buy structures. It's very team dependent. Tough if you've got a lot of lines already, but love Dunkley as that midfield premium this week. And that's how I'd have the other 5 blokes rated in the defenders. Roscoe, how about you, mate? What would your ratings be like in regards to those blokes that we just talked about, buddy?
I want them all. I think
get them all, Pokemon style.
Me, so the two that I'm actually getting in this week, Dunkley and Holmes. I already own Clark. I already own Zorko, and I think Sinclair's one that I probably want to get in sooner rather than later. I think I'd probably put Sinclair last, maybe Holmes.
What?
I think maybe Holmes.
For this week, I think you can wait one more on Sinclair. I want to see if he can back it up.
You guys are crazy.
Can he not kick it? Can he not kick a goal and score like
He's
that?
playing West Coast.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
He's going to score 100.
Super inspiring.
He hasn't. But
you
know what you're going to get.
You know who I think we're not paying enough respect to. I know he's a bit more expensive, but Nas. I like him. I'd almost.
He's just that different price.
He could almost out average Sinclair. I think like Sinclair's form's really died. It's a lot of it. It's tough. It's right, but I'd rather Dunkley over Sinclair in my opinion for that mid spot. But it's so
we
hard.
just jumped all over Roscoe here. Sorry, mate. There was just a bit of controversy when you put Sinclair last here, mate. Continue with your rankings.
You'd need a colossal score to see him really increase in price. You know, he goes anywhere between 100 and 110. You're still getting him at 530 or thereabouts. You know, Holmes on the cheap. Holmes on the cheap is probably one with a break even of 67, where a big score for him would really, you know, probably put him out of that 500k range for the next few weeks. I think Dunkley, he was one that I was really keen on. Same with Rosie. I'm not sure what Rosie's break even is, but I think maybe I hold off on him purely because I've got Zach Reed D6, and I don't really want to play him on the bench. I think I'll probably wait until Reed's ready, then jump on Rosie.
It's 105 Rossco, so you can wait a week on Connor.
Yeah. You know, anything was to happen to Zach Reed, keep a bit of cash in the bank and then get him to Rosie when the DPP comes over.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a bold statement here, a really, really bold statement. Jack Sinclair will make more money than what Max Holmes will this week. There you go. That's my bold statement.
Max Holmes.
Yep. I reckon against Port.
So Holmes is going 60 like 70 or 80 because we've seen a lot of them from him this year, despite the real ceiling.
Yeah, I'd be happy to lock that in. I reckon Jack Sinclair.
Yeah, that's why I didn't really rate him because I had a look at his scoring before, and I reckon about 4 or 5 of them are all 70s and 80s. Despite he does punch out like a 130 plus every 3 weeks, but I don't want every 3 weeks. I want 105, 110 every week. So that's why I have Clark so far ahead. And that's just my opinion.
Captaining Sinclair this week. That's how keen I am.
The thing though, DR, is like this week you're correct, but if I'm looking long term, I'm seeing the fixture for Holmes, and he's one of those players where it's like you know when a player is going to score well when they have the plus matchup. Holmes is that type. And to counter that points bills, he's gone 72, 80, 70 as the poor scores this season, but he's had 4 captainable scores this year. Like if we look at Jordan Clark, he's had 1
rainbow ice
score
cream
this year. Yeah. You want to? It's interesting if you have a look at those stuff. I've got Sinclair one. Like you're saying, there is a world where Sinclair makes more money than Holmes just because he just goes huge. Like he's a captaincy option, and one of the things which I think a lot of coaches may look to do is cherry into Sinclair or McRae against West Coast in the last game. 2 Sunday captaincy options. So waiting that whole time just to see what cherry goes against Richmond. And then I've got Holmes, then Zorko, then Rosie, then Clark. So as a Clark owner, I just think that there's always room for upside in the other picks. Whereas with Clark, you're sort of settling. It depends on the kind of player. If you just want that 100 flat every week, he's the type. Zorka's the wild card there. He could equally be 1 as 5. 5 because of the injury risk and the age and the kitty factor. 1 because we know that his ceiling is probably the best ceiling off this lot.
Mm.
And then Rosie is the one. The only reason he's at 4 is if his buy was last week, he'd probably be 1 or 2. But because he's got that early buy, and I know a lot of coaches are struggling with that buy, I just can't advocate for that pick.
Yeah, I'd grab him post buy. I think it's fair enough if you like me that you were there for the
You've
bad.
got him. You're
I've got him.
Yeah.
So he's just sort of, you build it around. I'm not going to bring an Ed Richards in as a pod, or probably good that bottom pally cops it up this week, because it's not really logical bringing him in when you got 5. It's too risky. Horn Francis, same sort of case. I mean, I'd love to have him to finish the forward line for Daniel, but it's just not logical doing it pre-buy. So,
I'll tell you what, my round 13 trading list at the moment, I might save that boost bill. See if I can get in Butters, Bont, Rosine, Horn Francis. See if I can make a plan for that, mate. I don't think so. Boys, we've discussed basically all the premium picks. The only other players here we've got is Cooper Simpson, who we quickly touched on before. Only played the 1 game, so a bit of a rule breaker there. We've got Sardar Helwy, who's number 3 on the list. The Box is number 2. Already talked about these players. And number 4, the only other player Archer Day Wicks is another player there you can see on the screen we've touched on. But the only bloke we quickly need to touch on is Jed Buse. Wowee. 2.3% of coaches are seriously considering this move. It's a man that has only played his first game of the year with some injuries down there in Geelong's defensive line, players that should be returning to the side. From what I've heard, even if he wasn't injured, he'd be struggling to make that best side. But boys, for anyone that's bringing in Jed Buse this week at 172,200 after a 95, we trying to advise them maybe just to hold the horses and wait another week?
Absolutely.
Yep.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't be going early on this.
The only sort of cash cows I can really advocate for this week are probably Sard or going up to a Filippo. It's really slim pickings if you don't have the box. But like Ross is saying, it looks slim pickings. I wouldn't be going Buse or Archday Wicks. You just get into this cycle of trading in next week's rookie this week.
Yeah.
It's very hard. Very hard.
All right, boys. That was the most traded in. Now we're quickly going to rush through this one and then get to our trades and then sit down to record a separate mailbag video. But the top 10 traded out, starting from number 10 up to 1. We've got Jaden Short, Sam Powell-Pepper, Clary, Connor O'Sullivan, Elijah Hewitt, Matt Flynn, Isaac Kako, Caden Cleary, Caleb Daniel, a massive talking point this week, along with Riley Bice. Janath, you're waving something there. What have you got, my friend?
I've gone and found the key. I've realized that this must have jinxed it. This jinxed it. I threw the key away. I had to go swim in the Nile to find this.
What are you doing with that key? Are you going to sell it off, or are you keeping it?
Unlock that lock, and he's gone.
Ooh, you're unlocking the bias.
The bias is not right.
I think we're being critical on Big Riley. Defenders actually have a pretty good run for Sydney. I'm a huge advocate for holding like Matty Roberts as well. It really sort of opens up for him. Like you got Carlton, Melbourne, Adelaide leak a lot.
Let him go. Get your tattoo so he can be there on your skin forever. As a reminder, what he's done for you. But I'm in absolute agreement that Riley Bice has to go this week. He's done his job. He's the absolute definition of done his job. Scored right on his break even last week. So we're able to hold him for another week, not lose out. I wouldn't be risking too much of our luck with this.
I got a bit of a mini devil's advocate here. So getting rid of Bice, right? Because the rookies are so bad, like in my opinion, in my team, if I get rid of Bice, that on comes like Xavier Lindsay or Huswaite again. I just don't want to muck around with that in the midfield. I kind of like the idea of giving Daniel and Bice one more week I know they'll probably drop a little bit of coin, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But the on-field points, I just think they're really both capable, and I think bias can turn around. But trading, absolutely fine. It's different for me. I banked a lot of money last week, 360K. So those two are sort of ones that I'm happy to hold, but because the rookies are so dire, I don't know. Does it eliminate a peanut on field? That's the only real justification I can come up with. But
eliminate a peanut on field.
does it, Janath? I mean,
That's
something's got
good.
to
Good.
give.
Yeah.
Rossco, I'm going to ask you, mate. Who would you consider keeping on this list? Now, we're not saying that you're absolutely keeping him, but who do you think that people may be rushing to get out a little bit early here, if anyone at all?
I think, obviously, I'm just going to look at the lowest break even. I think Elijah Hewitt's probably the one there that, playing against St Kilda, assuming he plays a full game, he's probably one that could pop another nice score, hopefully start to reset his cash gen a little bit more. I know he's scored, he's made already. Have I missed something with him being injured or?
No, just a really poor game.
Yeah, right. 33 people just trading him out.
Tigers, tough one. If I get rid of bias, boys, I'm fielding Hewitt. That's where I'm at. And I feel a lot more confident. Just
I can't get him right. It seems like every bad score I get him on field, every time he scores a 90, I don't have him on field somehow. It's just
same as Lindsay as well. Lindsay's exactly the same.
Lindsay as well. Yeah, he's been another one, Spills. Absolutely, mate. Look, Clary's probably the one here. Are we all agreeing now with this new potential tagger role that you've just got to get him out?
Happy I got rid of him last week. That was very lucky. Yeah. No one saw this coming.
Jaden Short, if he's fit to play, do you consider holding? Or with all these players that we've got, your Sinclair, your Zorko that's cheap, your Holmes that's, geez, look at that. So Short to Holmes, you're not using much cash there.
64K. Yeah.
Surely you've got to do that if you've got Jaden Short and not many other major issues. We all happy with that, getting Shorty out and upgrading?
Yeah. The other one I think a lot of people may be going early on is Caden Cleary. He's passed his break even in 4 of 6 games. And the 2 games he didn't pass was 35 against Essendon and 30 against the Port. But the time he scored 30, backed it up with an 89. I think that playing Carlton, he hasn't seemed like a sub-risk. I say that with trepidation, obviously, because Sydney as a whole are not playing very well at the moment. But he's got good enough job security. I think they're in this period of time where players' break-even isn't too high compared to their average, and they seem to have good enough job security. I feel like we've just got to keep them. They shouldn't lose too much cash in the short term, especially. So yeah, I'd be a bit hesitant trading out Caden Cleary, and even with the Kako, like he's not going to make much money, but you sort of knew that when you were buying into that pick there. And now he can at worst be a mid-forward loop when a lot of coaches have pretty dead midfield benches when you got the likes of Clay Hall, Hustwaite, Boxall. I know it's hard to get a midfield forward on there, but something is better than nothing on field in that case.
That's what I was going to mention. He offers job security. That's really all that he offers, job security, and we're hoping for some sort of a spike score. But you're right, Janath. If we need someone, if we just need that extra 50 or something on field for us, Kako's probably the bloke that you can just rely on week upon week. Whereas some of the other blokes, they are looking dead as a doornail. So I absolutely agree with your assessment there. Probably Matt Flynn's someone we haven't touched on yet. I traded him out last week. As soon as I heard that BJ Williams was travelling as well, I thought, I'm just not going to risk it. I thought there was a pretty high chance that Flynn may get subbed out. I thought they may use Flynn for maybe the first 3 quarters in the ruck, BJ out forward, and then BJ will have enough energy to maybe finish off his time in the ruck and then bring Gross onto the field. Didn't work out that way. But, well, first of all, boys, does anyone still own Matt Flynn?
I did.
Got rid of him last week.
You own him, Janath?
I held him. It was looking very dire 3/4 time when he was on 35.
What are you doing?
He got to 80. He's gone.
Are you looking to hold again this week?
No. Unless BJ Williams is dropped. Like, again, another friendly matchup against St Kilda for Flinny. If he's the sole ruck, then maybe. But I think I can make moves outside of that to get 2 2 upgrades in by moving on Flynn, Sam Powell-Pepper and Riley Bice, all who are amongst the high break-even top trader targets here.
Very nice, mate. Cos, I think, is easy one there with the 92. Again, done his job. And the other bloke I want to touch on before we move into our trades for the week and then say goodnight to everyone is Caleb Daniel. Now, there are 2 helmets that play for North Melbourne. The big helmet absolutely smashed it out of the park, boys, but the little helmet had a bit of a little score this week. So I want to quickly get each of your takes on Caleb Daniel. And again, it is very much team dependent. We know this. What's your buy structure looking like, et cetera, et cetera. But just a quick take, maybe a minute each. Janath, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on Caleb Daniel? Trade out or look to hold?
I think he's this close to being dropped from North Melbourne. His kicks lack no penetration. He's not getting the handball receives. If he is dropped from the team, then there's no way we can hold him. He's got so much money on his head at 441k. That is money you could easily. That's 60k up to Holmes, who you know is never going to get dropped, and he offers plenty more than Daniel is at the moment. It's just really, it's like you're robbing Peter to pay Paul in a way with regards to our Supercoach sides when we've got Sheasel and Daniel, because you want both of them to score well, but perhaps North Melbourne have moved away from simply one of them being able to perform well, whilst the other one has this, like back in the day when you had those 2, Aaron Hall, Jack Siebel, and sort of thing. Like you had players that could sort of coexist, but I don't think that North are really going that way anymore. And perhaps that does unfortunately spell the end for Caleb Daniel.
All right. Spillsy, your take?
Yeah, it's such a weird one for me. Such a weird, unique situation to be in when you've banked so much money and there's no urgency to get rid of him. Like, it's almost like if he plays, I kind of want to give him one more week I feel like he can have a bounce back game. I'd rather field him over Hewitt. That's where I'm at. And I can easily hold Hewitt and field him and then bank another 300 or so K almost going Daniel. So I don't know. It's a really weird one. I almost think he's a must trade, but just where I'm at, I can almost like Bryson Daniel. I feel like they're one more week just for me, but yeah, they're both really knocking on the door. Must trade. I think Daniel's more of a must trade than Bice because Janath. Oh, look, his face is just dropped. I just think he's genuinely on the verge of getting omitted. He could get omitted. And if he does, then he's obviously a must trade. So it's a real funny one. Caleb Daniel, he's done his job, been a really good rook for us, but none of his kicks. He relies solely on kick outs, and the Fancy Take TV boys made a great point. He barely wins any ball. He's very dependent on his teammates sort of feeding it to him, and that's not a great sign for any sort of defender. I think the only real justification can be made for it is North did look good. They had a solid draw against Brisbane, reigning premiers, and who's getting dropped from that? Everyone sort of did their bit, but Daniel, it's not looking good for him. So
not looking good.
Who knows? If he's named this week, I'm going to wait a week, but I think he's almost a must trade.
He had 10 touches in the first quarter. Like in the first 5 minutes, I was thinking, here we go. This guy's going to have a nice feeling game here.
He's capable.
Fell off big time, mate. So it was 8 touches in the last 3 quarters, I think it was from memory. So, all right, Spillsy, there's your summation. Roscoe, settle this, mate. Caleb Daniel, your thoughts?
I'll keep it short and simple. If he gets dropped, we trade him. If he plays and stays in, I'm going to take the emotion out of it. I don't really care what he scores, how much money he loses. I'll hold him till the round 12 buy and trade him then.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm in the camp very much on the fence, but I'm currently holding him as well. And the reason why I say that is that when I don't know if it's just a mental or a visual thing, but when I look at the trades I'm looking to make this week, not including Daniel, it seems like I've got that extra premium sitting there or mid-price on the field. When I upgrade him, it doesn't look like I feel like I'm advancing the team too much, if that makes sense. I don't know if it's more of a visual thing that puts me off, but I'm still very much of the idea that we get the rookies off field first. In saying that, if you got Daniel scoring 50s, he's scoring like a rookie. So he's fine to move on. But we've seen his season average. I think it's around 92. It's no disaster. If he gets dropped, it's a pretty obvious choice, I think, for most people. But if he's named in the side for me, I'll be looking to hold on to him. I just question whether or not Sheasel's move down back may have affected Daniel slightly. I think that may be something to do with it and something to think about moving forward. But we know he's got it in him. We didn't pay much for him. And either way you go, I think that is fine. Anything else, guys, you want to end with the top 10 traded out players, or are you ready to finish off with our trades?
Yeah, go on.
It's been a solid hit
Let's
out.
do it. Now, usually we would get to the mailbag here, but as soon as we press stop on the record button, we'll get to that in a separate video for the week. So we are going to finish off with our trades, and I'm right here. So this is just one of my options, guys. At this stage, I could use my last boost to get Rolly Bice, Kako, and Daniel out of the side. I'm bringing Jordan Clark, Jack Sinclair, and Saad Al-Helwi. What this would mean is that I'm running with 7 defenders, including Matt Roberts. But the way that I think about it is that I could always run with one in the flex, and I'd be quite happy to keep someone like a Jack Sinclair in my midfield for the rest of the season, because I think he can actually score as well as, M5 to 10 in that range. So I'd be quite happy to do that. And Jordan Clark is someone we've already talked about a bit, but I had him in my side all preseason, as you guys know, and made that late switch. So he's someone I feel like I've been confident on since last December. And so when I compare him to a Holmes, who I'd never really considered, that's why I've sort of gone Jordan Clark, and I really do like his buy as well. But after we've been talking, I'm even considering just the one trade Sinclair to Bice, and maybe pairing that in with the Saad Al-Helwi in if I'm pretty confident he won't be the sub. So looking at this boost now, as we've been talking, this is a great thing about speaking with you lads every week. You're chopping to change your decisions. So at this stage, I don't think I'm going to go with Jordan Clark. I think I might just wait that one out and maybe just go 2 trades and hold on to the boost. Spillsy, you're the only one that's not looking to boost at this stage. You're getting 2 nice premiums in here, though, mate. Whitfield and Dunkley, tell us about your plans.
Yeah, so obviously I banked a lot of money last week for the bond. Not going to happen now. So I can make some serious moves this week if I want. I can use a bit of DPP as well, and I can boost out maybe a Cleary type and then grab a Sardo Hawley, and there's another sort of 160k in the bank. So, or I can hold Chera and hold Hewitt and then get rid of Bice and Daniel. So I've got to make a bit of a decision here. It's not so much who I'm trading in that matters. It's more who goes out. And I really like the point that you brought up before, DR, about like Chera's run opening up a little bit, and he is another technically primo on field, and if it wasn't for the injuries, then he wouldn't have really been swung half back with McGovern. So there's a bit of debate, and Hewitt can definitely reset that score, where obviously you feel like Bice and Daniel are completely maxed out. So yeah, I can get this done with either. It doesn't say there on the screen, but this trade allows me 3k in the bank, so it only just gets done.
Ooh.
I think Whitfield is must have. And I think he's almost as cheap as we're going to get him. The run really opens up now. It starts to get really good. He did it. He did a solid effort on a small ground. So what's he going to do at NG against Freo?
Yeah.
Very defensive-minded side. So, yeah, I'm fully expecting him to explode. So he's a must-have for me. Easiest trade in. Where Dunkley's a bit unique. He's one where I can't confidently say that I think he's going to be a better pick than Sinclair. But I think the main reason I want him in is I like him. I like this pick. I like him as a pod. I don't know.
He's a good bloke.
I think Sinclair. I think Holmes is just a ads and dunks potty. We love it. He's just the bloke vibes are real high. So yeah, I don't know, boys. I just like him as a pod, and I just don't think he's going to let you down too often. It's just the buy that's a bit awkward, but I feel like we just assess that when we get to it. And yeah, he's really hitting form, and he's as cheap as we'll probably ever see him. So I'm really happy with the trade-ins, but the trade-outs definitely could change. What do you boys reckon? Would you rather hold a chair and a Hewitt and then go, okay, Bice and Daniel not working, Bice has been good, Daniel probably going to get dropped? Would you do that, or do you like the do you like that cover a bit better? Takes a Hewitt off field.
Yeah.
It's a weird one. I'm not really sure what to do yet.
You brought in Warner last week, right, Spillsy?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I'd almost feel more confident going that latter one. You know, Chera's not going to get dropped.
Too.
You know, Hewitt's not going to drop, at least not drop money short term. I'd prefer that combo.
So you go and buy some Daniel out for Whitfield and Dunkley. I can get it done regardless because I've got DPB left, right, and center. Even Stone can go forward, so it's doable.
You can evaluate Chera at his buy, mate. Like Daniel, I feel like is a player that's sort of limp into the buy. Chera's sort of circumstantially scoring poorly, but this week he should be okay.
I just worry Chera could bottom out, and it's like you're selling him for what you paid for him at the start of the year. It's a bit of swallowing your pride about it. 440k he was, boys. I don't know. 447. I don't really know. Oh, it's just a weird one.
I think it depends what your plans are for Chera.
Yeah.
See, if I'd almost be of the belief that if you're trading out Chera at the round 12 buy, almost do it now before he bottoms out too much. That's almost what I'd be thinking. But I am committed to hold through the buys. So for me, it doesn't matter if he's going to lose 20k in the next week or two, because I know I'm going to be holding him for maybe 4 to 5 weeks. So I'm in a bit of a different situation when you look at Adam Chera. For you, Spills, he's most likely out at round 12. So we're thinking of him a little bit differently in our sides, I think, with his future. So that's something to take in consideration as well, I think, mate. But Janath, you're boosting, buddy, at this stage. Sard, Maxi Holmes, and Jack Sinclair.
Yes, so that's where it's at. Maxi Holmes Sinclair's the one I've locked in. Holmes is the one that could be Zorko, Green, or Holmes. Tom Green, that is. Sard, I'm trading out 3 players that are break-evens above 100. In Bias, 102. Pal Peppers at 111. And Flynn is at 97. So basically, they're all going to lose cash this week. I've got 2 more boosts left somehow as well, which can be used after this one. So might look to use 1 next week, possibly, and then 1 in the round 12 buy, because I really want to get in a couple of those Port, Bulldogs, Primos there. So that's just something to keep in mind. Very quickly, DR, you're not trading out Pal Pepper? You're just going to hold him through to the buy?
Last week, got rid of him last week.
You moved him on.
So, it was SPP and Flynn out last week for Warner and the box, mate. Could I just ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
If we find out, obviously we will before the game, that Sard is sub, do your plans change here, and do you not boost and maybe just get your Sinclair in and maybe forfeit your Holmes for this week?
I think so. It's going to be very hard to justify another trade for a. But that's the issues with Essendon playing 7:35.
If you want both,
do
you go Holmes before Sinclair? So if you're not going Sard, are you committed to both of these players or not? Or is it more you're committed to Sinclair?
I'm committed to Sinclair against West Coast.
Okay, so you're committed to Sinclair this week. Okay.
It's tough, and with Sard, it's tough, but look, he may or may not perform well. The thing is, I think I'm locked in on Bias and Power Pepper out. Flynn is the one where, if for whatever reason BJ is not named on Friday night, then I might just hold him through. Stick to course.
Love it, mate. And Rossco, gonna finish off with you, mate. We see O'Reilly Bias, the Bald King, Sam Powell Pepper, and the Big Nank going out of your side. Now, people may be a little bit confused here because there's not a ruckman coming in, but you do have another ruckman up your sleeve, as we know. Trading in Holmes, Philippou, and Dunkley. Geez, they're 3 nice tradings for you, Rossco. Tell us about your plans, my man.
Rowan Marshall was sitting in the flex. I was pretty happy with how he started his 2025 season off in my squad. He'll go to ruck 2. I just think Nankervis is just not delivering consistent scoring. Like even last weekend against the Eagles, it looked like he was going to go big, and then he just sort of went missing. And then, I just sort of want to get out of him and get in some more reliable scorers elsewhere. So Bias and Power Pepper, as Janath sort of touched on, 2 guys who are probably maxed out now, probably going to start losing money. Holmes and Dunkley, 2 value sort of trade-ins. I would love to get in El Houli, but just the way that my team's structured, I don't have a defender I can flick forward or a midfielder I can flick forward either, which sort of leaves me stuck. I thought, do I go with Cooper Simpson and keep 200K? I'm not really sure. So I think I'm going to take the gamble, get a sort of a rookie, if you like, off field, I think, and grab Filippo. Hopefully he can go big and I get a week's head start on everyone else who wants to jump on him. So hoping for the best with that, hunting for value with Holmes and Dunkley, and then sort of rolling the dice a little bit on Filippo just to try and sort of hopefully claw back something on the season,
Beautiful, mate. Yeah, unfortunately, Nank hasn't really delivered as a pod, has he? But saying goodbye to him and particularly welcoming in another St Kilda boy to go with Romo and Jack McRae's, that's always a good feeling, isn't it, Rossco?
Yes.
Boys, that is us for the week. A big shout out to everyone and every company that you see on the screen here. Obviously, our friends at Game Day Squad. Remember, put down in the comments who you think is going to be the highest Supercoach scorer this week, and we're going to give you a platinum card, 1.3 times multiplier, if you don't mind. So shout out to all our friends from the Game Day Squad. Remember, if you do purchase one of our Swordplay beanies, $5 from every beanie goes to the Good Friday Royal Children's Hospital appeal. Big shout out to Speedy Tees as well, and our friends from the Supercoach Hub Discord, and plenty of content, boys. We've been absolutely smashing it lately, as well as Vern Scobes and Joshy with all of their lives. So you can see we've got the Stocky coming up this week. I've got my round review, Rage Trade Mondays. Thursdays, the balls will go through the teams, jam-packed. And what's not there is the mailbag that we are going to go through and record now. Spillsy, I believe that you've got a pretty early morning, mate, so you won't be joining us for the mailbag. So it's over to you to end us with this podcast for the week, brother. What do you got for us, Spillsy? I'm throwing you under the bus as I do most weeks.
A bit of a spew missing out in the mailbag because they're just pumping at the moment, and we love all the questions that we're getting in. Got an early start. I've got to catch up on some sleep. It's been a big week for me getting my truck license this week, so I need to be well rested for that. That's not one we want to fail. So it's a smart decision, boys, considering the company's paying for it. Wouldn't want to roll up to work and I failed because I haven't had enough sleep. But I guess what I will say is, I'm going to throw it, because we're talking about the mailbag, I want to throw it back to the community and just say a massive thank you to everyone that comments. And there's a lot of more of them do comment every single week. And huge kudos to them. But the community is just expanding to the point where it's getting out of control. I mean, we won't even plan on doing the mailbag in this recording. Boys, it's nearly been 2 hours. What happens if we don't stop recording and we've got 50 questions to answer? I feel bad for you boys. You got to work OT. So kudos to you lads as well for getting it done. But thanks to the community for just being backing us in, and we're smashing it on this podcast. I look at the views and it's just been such a good achievement from what we started. So that's what I'll end with, boys. A bit of glass half full on what's been a pretty dire couple of weeks of Supercoach. So, looking forward to ripping back into it, and another really good potty with all 4 of us. Good to have all 4 back on the show as well. So, vibes pretty high at the moment.
What a way to end, Spillsy. What a way to end. I'm not going to add anything to that. So, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. As always, much love. All the best with your trade-ins and your trade-outs for this week. And stay tuned for the mailbag. All the best, guys. Catch you soon.
Peace.
Bye.